Hero Bowler in a nutshell. Bowler will be the next hero coming to Clash Royale. You can find it in the album event for free, similar to the Hero Magic Archer event. I'm still gonna plug code Abdod because why not? I could use any support from your purchases. His ability is a 2 elixir ability that can be used every 22 seconds. When pressing his ability, he stops moving and starts spinning his rock for a few seconds and then transforms into Basically, to put it in simple terms, he will shoot 4 rocks at the closest target, kinda like how you shoot basketballs, which is kinda funny. What's not funny is the fact that his ability range is high enough to snipe towers from about the same place as the expo is usually played. And what's even more unfunny is the fact that his damage is high enough to rival that of the rocket, so you can fully take out a Sparky with that ability if you land all 4 rocks on it. Yeah, this is gonna be a fun one, isn't it?
2 whole days without nonsense. For a good run, Mr. Squidward. But we both knew it couldn't last.
His ability has tower damage reduction, which is for sure necessary given that without it, the bowler would just replace Expo and become a win condition. It is decently different from his regular attack. For example, it loses the pushback completely, so against a quicker target, it might be best to not activate it. It also loses the roll on it, so it won't line up with spaced out troops as good as the regular bowler attack does. However, it has splash, so if they stack up their troops, then by all means just go ahead and snipe them all. What's the downside? Well, there are a few. For example, if you press the ability when nothing is in range, he will just stand there like an idiot and waste the entire ability. Although he would get some exclamation mark effect when something is in range to help you not miss the attack. The bowler doesn't lock on a target the moment you press the ability, but rather when the animation ends to give people some time to react to it and avoid damage. Even if he was already locked on a specific target, clicking the ability will have him fully retarget afterwards, so never take the targeting for granted. Though even if you were slow at reacting to it, you can just zap it and get it to retarget on something else, or Night Taunt for that matter. Basically, the targeting on it is 1-to-1 the same as every other card. The attack is considered a projectile, so it does get reflected by Monk, and usually the Monk would reflect 2 rocks, but with perfect timing, you can squeeze in a 3rd reflection. What I found odd is that if the Monk is way too close, the reflection straight up just doesn't work. This is likely a glitch because it doesn't work the same on Bomber. Since the game treats the ability thrown as a regular attack, that means interrupting them by any means can waste some shots, so for example zapping it makes it shoot only 3 rocks. Freezing cancels out 2 shots because it has a longer duration than zap, but Vines, despite working kinda like freeze, cancels out only 1. If the Ice Whiz is hitting the whole time, it cancels out 1 shot, which really surprised me because I thought this slow would be more effective, especially since that when I tested it, apparently even 1 Ice Wizard shot denies a rock, so it leaves me wondering what's the point of the other attacks. Interestingly, Raging him doesn't give him an extra rock, but it kind of like gets him really close to getting an extra one. It's just there isn't enough time. Hero Giant punching him has the potential to cancel out 2 shots with perfect timing or 1 shot with bad timing. Evo Goblin Cage kidnapping him would actually cancel out all 4 of the attacks, which is obvious. The interesting part? If you break him free, he just continues where he left off, so that's something to keep in mind. The interaction with Rune Giant goes as you would expect, as in after 2 boulders, the 3rd one would be buffed. And if he rolled 2 regular attacks before activating the ability, then the first rock from the ability ends up being the buffed one. I did try plenty of methods to see if anything fully cancels it, but unfortunately it's uncancelable. So your main way of dealing with it would be to just tank the bowler shots with a cheap mini tank to get an even trade on the ability elixir. A miner surprisingly can take all 4 hits, so a good prediction on offense can end up saving one of your important troops and wasting the bowler's ability. Though even if you don't have a cheap mini tank, using a bigger tank isn't super ideal because you're gonna lose half the HP on it, but it's better than losing an entire Sparky. Some bigger tanks like E-Giant work better because the stuns from his reflection will act like a zap and reduce the numbers of rock their bowler will throw down to 3. Evo Mega Knight is also one of those better bigger tanks because it can cancel out one rock, and if you get a very good timing it would end up cancelling 2 of them. Fast or very fast troops can distract the rocks without taking the full damage because the attack functions kinda similar to mortar shots, so they don't follow the troops. If you want to protect a stationary target like your tower or a building, you can use Nado or Evo Snowball because he can't move during his ability, especially when you have a middle pump because he can snipe it, so a tornado is definitely worth using here. Now, due to its long wind-up animation and slow hit speed, I don't think this card will be effective when played reactively like an Evo Musketeer, and it's also extremely ineffective on offense since your bowler will just be a sitting duck for a while when you activate it. And it's a bit awkward on defense as well for the same reason, especially since the pushback no longer applies. Instead, the way you want to use it is to clear counter-pushing troops from across the arena after an offensive graveyard or drill push. You can also use a counter-pushing bowler as a split lane pressure tool by activating the ability for 2 elixir and then dumping 10 elixir on the opposite lane to force them to pick which lane to defend. Though if you want to do that, you likely want to avoid having your bowler played towards the middle because they can easily distract it with the same cards they are going to be using for defense on the other lane. Paired with Nado, this card is going to be very dangerous because a Rocket Nado costs 9 elixir, but with this, you spend 10 elixir, get the same effect in addition to keeping a regular bowler. A super niche trick I found is that if you miss the target by a tiny bit, you can clone to push him forward. Not the most practical trick, but it's worth mentioning. And it's also kinda funny. What's less niche is the fact that this ability is a masterclass at denying King Tower activations, because by simply pressing it, the bowler would lose his piercing attack and will likely die before getting it. Other than against Fisherman, this also works against tornado-based activations, but those are much harder to react to. And it can work against this Tesla activation. I know at least 1 or 2 Expo players that will be pissed about this interaction. Oh, and the fact he stops moving can be abused to stop the opponent from kiting him while also threatening damage on their towers. Now this card is already a staple in graveyard decks, and the ability denying King Tower activations will just make it fit better with it. And to no one's surprise, I think Splash Yard decks will be the ones that will abuse it the most. Some Balloon decks play Bowler, however I don't see a crazy strong synergy with the hero given that they would have to give up one of their Evos or their hero Balloon for it. E-Giant decks that run Bowler though might use it as an alternative method to get tower damage or as a secondary way to break buildings for their E-Giant. For King Tower activations, we already went through how it made some of the old activations impossible to get. There is one new activation that is kinda similar to the Mortar one, but I don't think people will play their bowlers in the middle very often, so it might be hard to get in a real game. Here are the sound effects. Bro, this hero, I was unsure of what kind of balance feedback to give on this because, to be honest, I almost asked them to straight up just scrap the whole concept because to me, it feels like Hero Mega Minion where it prevents you from playing cards, so I guess just enjoy facing 2 Elixir Rockets, my dudes.